We are here on the TIFF red carpet talking to the stars and filmmakers of Lucy in the Sky. Here we, of course, have a space astronaut film, but it's probably like one of the most grounded astronaut films that I've seen. There's a lot of...
That's just budget. It is. It's grounded in the sense of it's about real people and real feelings and what really happens to people when they experience this new perspective on the planet and on humanity and on life and on human life.
When you have like an otherworldly experience, like she has this kind of magical experience of seeing the entire universe, you know, this all of our galaxy, and then comes back and things seem a little bit, you know, every day, like it's hard to literally come back to Earth. I think sometimes when you have an amazing artistic experience, or, you know, it takes a while to adjust back to being out of it.
I've read a lot of accounts of astronauts who go into space and then they come back believing in God, which is sort of this interesting, I think, sort of thing of you're scientific and you believe in you know, physics and all, you know, these very kind of calculated things, but that, you know, the acknowledgement of, well, there are things we just don't know and don't understand, and that mysticism still exists. And, you know, I think that, right, is an internal shift from being out in the external. And so I think this movie does work in that space a lot.
When we go into space, we're always interested in discovering things out there.
Yeah.
And in turn, I guess you can really learn a lot about yourself, and there's a lot more with discovery within.
Yeah, I mean, the way we think about it is like, we grew up in a small town in Florida, and it's very strange for us now going back from Los Angeles, where we live and work, to that town and sort of trying to explain this to anyone. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's hard to explain it to people, our friends and family back home, and just imagining how crazy that would be for space. Come back from space and to not have really anyone to share that experience with or to sort of commiserate with.
And the movie itself is about finding that community, finding somebody who really understands what you're going through, and really the value of empathy. I think for us, it's a story about empathy and understanding each other. We also felt that not enough attention was paid to the cost that something like this takes. You know, the mental toll something like this can have on someone. And I think for us, it was just about answering a question of, what's it like? What are we asking people to do here? And in the case of the crime that this was based on, how could something like this really happen?
In the sense that when she comes down to Earth, it's such an experience that, like, we don't ever think about, like, the PTSD of going into space and seeing everything and then having to come back to, like, normal life, and, like, how are we not falling off the planet? Like, just all of those things. And I think that this film captures that really well.
What does life on Earth really mean when you can actually see it from way far away? And then who do you share that information with? Because your husband doesn't know, your therapist doesn't know, your friends don't know. Only people that have been up there know. And that's the real gut punch of the story.
My hope is to make a movie that's subjective, where your experience of the movie is her experience of her dilemma, so that there is never a moment where you judge her from the outside. You understand her from the inside, and you might feel like, oh, don't do that, I don't want you to do that, but you understand why she does, and you root for her to come back from it.
Are you a little upset that you wouldn't be floating around in space for the whole duration of it?
I don't want to be wired up to anything. I was happy that I wasn't hanging from wires all day, although we would have had a good time joking around.